From the Cronkite Studios in downtown Phoenix, this is Cronkite News.
It's a fight between the safety of the community and the parents' right to choose what's best for their children. What the governor's pro-vaccination ideology means for Arizona.
Plus, Phoenix mayoral candidates Kate Gallego and Daniel Valenzuela went head-to-head last night for the final time before the March 12th election. We break down where each candidate stood on some of the city's biggest issues.
And a powerful display exploring an important era in American history now lives in a local museum. How the exhibit hopes to bring context and healing to Native American people.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Bobby Kraus.
And I'm Taylor Rocha. Thank you for joining us.
Governor Doug Ducey has declared Arizona a pro-vaccination state, yet bills thought by experts to lessen vaccination rates are already moving through the legislature.
Cronkite News reporter Jennifer Alvarez is live in downtown Phoenix with more details about what this could mean for our state.
Some say it's a fight for community safety, and others say it's a fight for parents' choice. And the governor will not let anti-vaxxers win. Last week, the House Health and Human Services Committee endorsed 3 anti-vaccination bills, HB 2470, 2471, and 2472, despite testimonies from doctors saying the bills could pose serious risks. They say these bills could cause parents to vaccinate their children less, which would leave Arizona schools and communities at risk for disease outbreaks. The bills would expand vaccine exemptions, give parents more information on vaccines, and offer tests to check for immunity before a vaccine is given. Doctors say the vaccine information wanted for the so-called informed consent bill is unnecessary and complicated to understand. State Senator Paul Boyer, one of the sponsors of the informed consent bill, believes parents should still have more access to vaccine-related information.
I really think that parents love and care for their children. They should know what's going into their child's bodies. And to say that parents are too dumb, that they can't figure it out for themselves, again, I think that has a poor view of parents. Governor
Doug Ducey said Wednesday he will not sign any legislation that goes against vaccinations. In an interview with the Arizona Capital Times, he said, quote, "I'm pro-vaccination and anti-measles. I want to see fewer people being exposed to measles and other things that we've spent decades through research and development in the medical industry and healthcare, making our country a better place and a safer place to live." Despite Ducey's statement, Senator Boyer says the bills should still be pushed for.
I think that there are limits and benefits to any vaccine. And I just think that parents should know what those limitations and benefits are.
The bills have passed their latest rounds of hearings, but still have to go through the House and Senate in order to get Governor Doug Ducey's signature, which looks like he will be vetoing in case that they do go through. Live in downtown Phoenix, Jennifer Alvarez, Cronkite News.
Now we want to hear from you. Do you think children should be required to get vaccinated in Arizona? Just go to our Cronkite News Facebook or Twitter feed to vote in our live interactive poll. Right now, the majority of you are in agreement with Governor Ducey, with over 90% voting yes.
Tempe may become the first East Valley city to ban handheld phone use while behind the wheel. The city council will vote on the ban tonight with an emergency clause to immediately roll out the new rules. Right now, 3 Northwest Valley cities already ban drivers from holding phones to talk or text. And a bill moving through the Arizona legislature could take the cell ban statewide. Arizona prohibits texting and driving for new teen drivers, but there's no statewide prohibition on overall handheld cell phone use.
The Phoenix mayoral candidates had another chance to make their case to the public as to why they should be elected. In a debate on Arizona Horizon last night, Kate Gallego and Daniel Valenzuela spoke on topics such as public safety, the economy, jobs, and infrastructure. Cronkite News reporter Madeline Holler was at the debate. She joins us now with the highlights.
The 2 candidates, who are both Democrats and former council members, agreed on issues like pension debt, but there were disagreements on a number of issues, including the Phoenix Suns arena and public safety.
Kate Gallego and Daniel Valenzuela went head-to-head in PBS's mayoral debate. With each candidate bringing a diverse set of qualifications to the table, each feels they are better suited to serve the city of Phoenix.
I look forward to building on the work I've already done, leading on things like equal pay for equal work for women, investing in infrastructure, and protecting our water supply.
I'm running for mayor because I want every person in Phoenix to feel safe regardless of where they live in Phoenix.
Gallego, who mentioned her MBA, wanted voters to know that she will dive into the details, take on complicated issues, and listen to her constituents.
I've tried to listen to people in the community. Some of my best ideas come from talking to our residents. For example, when I talked about fighting to make sure that people have the ability to pay their parking tickets, that came from a resident who pointed out how destructive it was to be able to be pushed to max out credit cards, then potentially lose your driver's license and then car impounded.
Valenzuela, who is a Glendale firefighter, says his personal experiences being a first responder has made him proactive.
I'm running for mayor for the same reasons I get on a fire truck, which is to go and problem solve. And you have to be a problem solver in local government. These are real issues that people are going through.
Valenzuela criticized Gallego a number of times, saying she did not lead, especially when it comes to public safety.
So there's a difference between leading on these issues and showing up for a press conference.
Gallego countered that she worked to get money to hire more first responders and led in other public safety issues.
I've also fought and led on making sure we try to remove the administrative burden from our officers so that we can have officers out in the community and have other people doing the paperwork.
Voters have until March 12th to make their decision on who should be the next Phoenix mayor.
Another point where the candidates clashed was on the Phoenix Suns arena. Gallego says she doesn't believe in giving subsidies to public sports facilities, where Valenzuela says he supports the arena renovation because it drives economic growth. In the broadcast center, Madeline Holler, Cronkite News.
Arbitration. We hear about it in sports negotiations, we hear about it in labor disputes, but some say the system, which is supposed to cut down on legal costs, is being abused by corporations.
Now, some lawmakers in Washington are looking to end the practice of forced arbitration, and an Arizona resident was there today to talk about her experience with the issue.
Love Junius is live in our Washington bureau with the details on today's announcement.
We all have done it. Check the box that says I agree to all the terms and conditions without reading the fine print or even having a chance to read it. That happened to Maricopa resident Akila Edwards, who said it ended up hitting her in the pocketbook.
Edwards said she was in school and a parent when she needed money and took out a loan.
I took out payday loans, several brick and mortar, and also from online payday loans.
Applying was simple, just a few electronic signatures from her to complete the application. A little too simple. Edwards realizes now.
All of the guidelines that fall under the agreement comply with your electronic signature. So it's not like you get a chance to go in and read over each particular clause and sign off on those clauses. Those clauses are actually signed for you the moment that you agree to the loan.
Fine print included a statement that she could not go to court if she had beef with the lender. It would have to go to the arbitrator. That's not right, says Connecticut Senator Richard Blumenthal, who's introducing legislation to prohibit such mandatory arbitration clauses.
That is fundamentally unfair and un-American, and that's why we are introducing the Forced Arbitration Prevention Act.
Michael Clark, vice president of the American Arbitration Association, says there is a place for such standard clauses. They help allocate fees and expenses. He concedes that they can be hard to get out of.
You could go then take it to court and try to appeal it, but there's something called the Federal Arbitration Act of 1926 that sort of details what. It's very unlikely that an arbitration could be overturned.
Edwards fought the fight in federal court and won.
Because there was a lot of illegal aspects being done, not only just locally, but also in the federal aspect.
In fact, the lender behind her loan ended up in prison, she says.
CEO of the company, the owner of the company, which I won't say state, but they did end up getting prison for their act and their involvement in what their loan company did.
And she hopes to win this fight in Congress, too.
In addition to Senator Blumenthal, today's event was attended by Congressman Hank Johnson of Georgia. He said another way to look at arbitration bills is that they're about restoring the constitutional right to trial. In Washington, Love Junius, Cronkite News.
President Trump traveled 8,000 miles this week only to come back empty-handed. After pleasantries on camera with Kim Jong-un, talks between the two in private failed to reach an agreement at their meeting in Vietnam. The breaking point for them, North Korea's insistence the U.S. lift all sanctions, plus disagreement on what exactly denuclearization entails.
They wanted the sanctions lifted in their entirety, and we couldn't do that. It was a very productive 2 days, but sometimes you have to walk. Rocket Man is on a suicide mission for himself. I'd much rather do it right than do it fast.
The White House issued a statement saying, quote, no agreement was reached at this time, but the respective teams look forward to meeting in the future. Though the president did make one compelling headline, letting Kim off the hook for the death of American hostage Otto Warmbier.
Today was Michael Cohen's final appearance before the House committee. It was a closed-door session, so the public was unable to watch. Yesterday, Cohen testified that President Trump knew in advance WikiLeaks planned to release stolen emails damaging to Hillary Clinton. And he provided evidence that the president reimbursed him for paying off hush money to adult film star Stormy Daniels to keep their alleged affair quiet. Cohen will go to prison in May, starting his 3-year sentence. He's pled guilty to campaign finance violations, criminal tax evasion, and lying to Congress regarding Robert Mueller's Russia probe.
Back here in Phoenix, the clouds have passed and the sun is finally shining once again.
Jody, what will our temperatures look like for tonight?
The weather was really nice today, and it will continue to stay nice throughout the evening. It'll stay in the 70s until about 8 p.m., and then it'll get into the high 60s. And then it'll continue to decline until about 10 p.m., where it will hit around 63 degrees.
A Valley veteran was given full military honors as he was laid to rest yesterday.
Up next, we take you to the emotional service for the fallen soldiers' final salute.
And how a new exhibition at the Heard Museum is offering healing for the National American Indian community.
The journalists of tomorrow face a fast-changing media landscape, but quality news remains vitally important to our communities, our country, and our world. At ASU's Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication, students learn solid, reliable reporting, holding the powerful accountable, and rebuilding the public's trust. The Cronkite School and Arizona PBS, preparing the next generation for a stronger future of journalism.
With wildfires, a scarcity of water, and other environmental issues facing the Earth today, it's critical to stay up to date with local impacts of a changing climate. That's why we created Elemental, covering sustainability, a multimedia collaboration between public television and radio stations. From climate change to water conservation to renewable energy and much more, Elemental covers the latest in sustainability news. Find our stories on our website, elementalreports.com.
Cronkite News, weeknights at 5 on Arizona PBS.
Arizona Senator Kyrsten Sinema has introduced legislation that would directly impact thousands of Arizona veterans.
The measure would expand American Legion membership to include troops who served in between recognized periods of war. Millions of veterans from 12 unrecognized war eras are among those who could join the Legion if the bill passes. American Legion memberships include access to various benefits, like for health and financial needs.
A homeless veteran was given a final salute yesterday in Cave Creek.
Reporter Nicole Hernandez went to the service where hundreds said their goodbyes.
I call on William Melvin Shigab.
This veteran's sacrifice of service honored by the hundreds who attended his funeral. William Shigab passed away, his body unclaimed, but he was given full military honors at his funeral in Cave Creek. Carol Shigab Parker heard about her uncle's passing through the media, allowing her to remember moments with him and attend his funeral.
He's a very funny guy.
He used to do this thing called Bronco Bill, where he would like pretend he was a Bronco horse and we would ride on his back, and we miss him a lot.
Carol knew him as a kid, only reconnecting with Shagag just 3 years ago while he was in a halfway home.
I was able to see him and just hug him and tell him I loved him, and then we just stayed in contact from then on out.
Shagag was living on the streets until the day he died at age 59. And almost 2 weeks later, hundreds of strangers honored his life.
It's phenomenal to know that that level of love is there for someone that, you know, these hundreds of people didn't even know.
Several groups came together to make this funeral happen, including the Dignity Memorial Homeless Veteran Burial Program and the Patriot Guard Riders.
We surround our heroes with American flags and then their branch service flag, kind of to protect the hero.
And the process of honoring those heroes is nothing new. The Missing in America Project alone has found over 19,000 unclaimed veterans to date, giving about 1/5 of them final resting places across the country.
It's all about taking care of the veterans. It's their benefit. So that's what we do.
As for the Shagag family, they say they are thankful for the public response the send-off received.
They were almost an extension of our family that couldn't be here today.
In Cave Creek, Nicole Hernandez, Cronkite News.
There are 70,000 veterans and their families laid to rest at the National Memorial Cemetery of Arizona.
The cemetery provides funeral services to any veteran for free.
Now, this Labrador Retriever is best known for being the service dog for former President George H.W. Bush. He received worldwide attention when a photo of him laying in front of the late president's casket went viral after Bush passed away last year.
But life goes on, and Sully is no exception. The Walter Reed National Military Medical Center welcomed him aboard yesterday to serve in its facility dog program. His duties will be a bit lighter than what he did for the president. Sully's main job will be interacting with patients to help reduce their stress.
Coming up after the break, a new collaboration between ADOT and the National Weather Service could keep you safer on the streets during storms.
We'll have the details next.
The sun is out and shining again. Right now in Phoenix, it's 76 degrees outside. Coming up though, I'll give you a look at what kind of weather you're going to see this weekend and next week in your 7-day forecast.
Stay in the know on the go. At Cronkite News, we work hard to report the facts and keep you updated, whether we're on set or on the scene.
Taking it from the studio to the field. So I'm here in South Phoenix.
In Phoenix, we're just a click away. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, or find us online at cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
A museum in the Valley renovated a nearly 20-year-old exhibit showcasing the historical significance of boarding schools to the Native American community.
Cronkite News reporter Marcela Bayeto was able to attend a preview of the event before the exhibit opened to the public.
Native American boarding schools have been a controversial topic for those part of the indigenous community. And right here at the Hearn Museum, there's currently a newly renovated exhibit combining context, history, and healing.
I'm seeing classmates and I'm laughing because I'm like, oh my gosh, I haven't seen Ray in forever, and there he is.
And it's those faces the very first thing you see when walking into the newly renovated exhibit inside Phoenix's Hearn Museum. It's an interactive and immersive experience going back in time when many Native Americans were sent off to boarding schools across the country starting in 1879 till the 1990s. The idea was to have these indigenous children assimilate into the Euro-American society at the time.
Well, I really think it's a hidden history
history that a lot of people are not aware of. People drive up and down Indian School Road in Phoenix every day and don't know the association with Phoenix Indian School, which had a 99-year history.
Historical photographs, clothing, and mock dorm rooms serve to show what life was like for these Native students at the schools.
Welcome. Thank you.
Tola Hongva, who went to Phoenix Indian School, says those early boarding school days still bring up heavy emotions for her people.
Whenever a child is separated from their family for an extended period of time, that's trauma.
One of the most impactful pieces on displays is this bright teal hair cutting chair, next to hair and chopped braids scattered on the floor.
The hair was cut, again, because the schools are based on a military model. They didn't respect or understand the purpose of long hair and braids.
Brian Brayboy, who is a special advisor on American Indian Affairs at ASU, agrees Native American boarding schools in the past were controversial and discriminatory. In 2019, he sees the experience as a much more positive one.
For communities who are in rural places, who have schools that aren't easily accessible, boarding schools today serve a real important purpose.
For Tola Hongva, despite the efforts to suppress her ancestral roots, the pride she felt being Native American was simply too big to forget.
Those young kids in those early years continue to speak their languages. They just did it in places where the adults couldn't hear them and get after them. Nothing stays exactly the same for 99 years. Things change.
In Phoenix, Marcela Baedo, Cronkite News. According to the Heard Museum's curator over here, there's currently no end date for the exhibit. Live in downtown Phoenix, Marcela Baedo, Cronkite News.
The Weather Service says they'll station a meteorologist at ADOT's Traffic Operations Center whenever the next big storm hits. The partnership will allow ADOT to better determine where snowplows and other resources are needed most and which roads drivers should avoid. Director of ADOT's Management Division says that this is a natural pairing of the two agencies working together in the public's interest.
And Jody Guerrero is back with us for weather, and I'm just glad that it finally warmed up.
Oh, I am so with you. It's crazy to think that it was snowing last week.
I know, the sun is back and I am ready to get my tan on. I don't know about you guys.
I'm with you, yes.
Yes.
Well, right now in Phoenix, we're looking at 76 degrees outside. There is a little bit of wind at 5 miles per hour. Looking at our temperatures across the state, we're at 49 degrees in Flagstaff, the Grand Canyon in the low 50s, the Rim is in the 50s and 60s, and then Yuma is actually at 80 degrees right now. Looking at the temperatures tomorrow, the highs are going to be in the 50s along the Rim as well, and then Yuma is actually getting a little bit hotter at 82 degrees. This weekend, you can expect a little bit of rain on Saturday in the PM. The highs are going to be in the 60s and 70s, and the lows in the 50s. Later on in the week, you're going to see highs in the 70s, but Tuesday the high is going to be at 80. We're getting back to that Arizona weather that we know and love. I'm Jody Guerrero with your Cronkite News weather update.
Lights, camera, stream. High school sports live streams are bringing the Grand Strands to your house.
Straight ahead on Cronkite News, we look at the new service that will let you cheer for touchdowns from the comfort of your own couch.
I'm Matt Berry, ESPN Sports Center anchor and graduate of ASU's Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication. With its bachelor's and master's degrees in sports journalism, the Cronkite School is preparing the next generation of sports journalists to tell stories that matter, stories that excite, inspire, and inform. Cronkite immerses students in covering sports at all levels in one of the country's top sports markets. It's this hands-on experience under the guidance of award-winning sports media veterans that shape the top journalists of tomorrow.
If you're looking for one show that tells you what happened that day in the world of business, it's NBR.
We saw a classic shipwreck.
Nordstrom's opening stores.
Triple-digit gains.
Crude climbs.
We're there to help our audience find new investment ideas.
The market still has room to go up.
Nightly Business Report is the longest-running business television program in history.
Weeknights at 10:30 on Arizona PBS.
Millions of people die every year from drinking dirty water. I would never have felt I had the ability to do something without ASU pushing me. We built filtration systems out of local materials with the people. To see those kids drink clean water for the first time, it's the most rewarding feeling that you can ever have. I went to ASU because I wanted to change the world. The thing I never would have expected is how the world would have changed me.
On the next Arizona Horizon, it's our Phoenix mayoral debate as candidates Kate Gallego and Daniel Valenzuela will address the major issues facing the state's biggest city. It's a debate on the next Arizona Horizon.
From the grandstands to the couch, high school sporting events are now available for streaming online. All you need is a Wi-Fi connection. This gives Arizonans the option of watching their favorite teams go head-to-head from their own home. The option is available through the National Federation of High School Sports Network and will cost about $10 a month.
College students planning to travel to Mexico for spring break, listen up. A U.S. State Department advisory issued in November has taken on new urgency.
That's after an attack by 4 gunmen at a club in Cancun left 5 people dead last weekend. The advisory is designed to give travelers a better understanding of places to avoid or take extra precautions.
Each of Mexico's 31 states have warnings in place, with 5 states listed as do not travel. The state travel advisory says if you do decide to travel to the area, be vigilant and never travel alone.
That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thank you for joining us.
For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.